Hospitals can be creepy places. You're walking through the quiet halls, the lights are too bright, and it always feels like something's just off. For most people, it's just a weird vibe, but for others, the stuff they've seen while working in a hospital is way worse than just a bad feeling. These are 3 true hospital stories that'll make you look at hospitals a little differently. I've been a nurse for a while now, going on 14 years actually, and while a lot of things blur together after so many shifts, there's one patient I'll never forget. This happened back when I was working on a med-surg floor at a mid-sized hospital in the Midwest. We dealt with everything from post-ops to dementia patients to the occasional hospice case. Nothing supernatural or ghosty, just the usual gritty hospital stuff. Anyway, we had this one older woman who was admitted for pneumonia and confusion. She was in her late 80s, and by the time she hit our floor, she was clearly in decline. Her name was June. No family ever visited. She did not talk much, just kind of grunted or yelled occasionally, usually when we were trying to move her or check her vitals. We had her in the room right across from the nurse's station, so we could keep an eye on her because she kept trying to climb out of bed or pull out her IV. The CNA assigned to her that night, let's call her Kayla, was sitting with her as a one-on-one because we were short on bed alarms, and June had already fallen once during a previous stay. It was a quiet night for the most part. Around 2 a.m., Kayla called out that something was wrong. A couple of us went into the room. June wasn't moving. Her eyes were wide open, but totally still. Not responsive. Her heart rate was dropping fast, 30, 20, then flatlined. We checked her pulse, nothing. I put the stethoscope to her chest. No breath sounds, no heartbeat. She was DNR, so we did not start compressions or anything. It was one of those weirdly calm moments that happen sometimes when someone dies. No panic, just a kind of resignation. I closed her eyes. Another nurse went to grab the body bag, and I made a note to call the on-call doctor to pronounce her. We left Kayla in the room to start prepping the body, removing IVs, cleaning her up, that kind of thing. We've all done it. Not pleasant, but you get used to it. Maybe 10 minutes go by. We're halfway through writing the death note in the chart when Kayla yells out again. We run back in, thinking maybe she dropped something or just needed help moving the body. But no, June is awake. Not just awake, but fighting. She's yanking at the blanket, kicking her legs, trying to pull herself up in the bed. Same as before. No oxygen, no IV, nothing. Just swinging her arms around like nothing had happened. Her monitor had not even been hooked back up yet. We'd taken it off when she flatlined. We all just froze. I remember one of the newer nurses going pale and walking right back out of the room. I stood there for a second, just watching her, not really knowing what to do. I grabbed my stethoscope again. Heart rate was strong. Her color was coming back. She was breathing on her own. I honestly did not even know what to chart. She had no pulse, no breath sounds. I checked. Another nurse had checked. I even remember saying out loud, "She's gone." But there she was, alive and kicking. Literally. We ended up calling the on-call doc to come up anyway. He was just as confused as we were. Did a full workup. We ran labs. Did another chest x-ray. She looked about the same as she had when she came in. No worse, no better. Nobody had a good explanation as to why this had happened. The doctor called it a transient estolalic episode, or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't a seizure. It wasn't apnea. It wasn't a machine malfunction. We'd all checked that out. She was just dead. And then she wasn't. We reattached everything and monitored her more closely after that. Kept the sitter in there all night too. She went right back to being restless and combative like nothing had happened. She even threw a urinal at Kayla later that night. I think the weirdest part is that she survived the admission. Got transferred to a rehab facility about a week later. We sent her off in an ambulance, and that was that. There's probably a perfectly good medical explanation for it somewhere. Maybe her heart slowed down just enough that we couldn't detect it. Maybe we made a mistake. I don't know. But I've been doing this long enough to trust my instincts. She was dead. We all saw it. And trust me, I still think about this all the time. Not in a spooky, haunted hospital way. Just in a how the hell does something like that even happen kind of way. And I've never seen it again since. Nobody else on the floor had either. A few of the other nurses said that they'd heard stories like that, but never witnessed it themselves. So yeah, that's the craziest, most real WTF moment I've ever had on this job. No ghosts, no shadows, no whispers in the night. Just an old woman who died, and then didn't. It still gives me goosebumps. I used to work at a hospital doing patient transport. I was there for a couple of years, mostly evenings and nights. The job itself was fine, but the layout of the hospital was weird. Transport's home base was down in the basement, where the laundry machines were, and where they sorted most of the supply shipments too. Not many people came down there unless they had a reason. No patients, no visitors, just a lot of long, quiet hallways and flickering lights. This happened maybe 8 months into the job. I was working the late night shift, and it was a slow night. There were only 2 of us scheduled, me and another guy who I'll call Kevin. We alternated runs and took turns watching the radio in case something came in. On this particular night, I was holding down the basement while Kevin was upstairs covering a late patient transfer. I was alone. I had just finished walking a stretcher back to the storage area and was heading to the break room when I heard whistling. Not a song I recognized, just a few short notes. It was coming from down near the elevator. The basement had this long hallway that leads directly to the staff elevator. If anyone walks down there, you'll see or hear them easily. So I poked my head around the corner, figuring it was Kevin screwing around. But the hallway was completely empty. I stood there for a few seconds, listening. Nothing though. No footsteps, no doors, just this silence. I figured maybe it was someone upstairs, and the sound echoed down. Or maybe I was just imagining it. I wasn't spooked, yet. Nights can get boring. So I went to the break room, grabbed a snack, and scrolled through my phone for a bit. Then I heard this loud bang. It echoed, like something heavy hit the wall. I stepped out into the hallway and saw a hospital bed. One of those big rolling ones, moving slowly down the hall by itself, bumping into the walls as it rolled. No one was pushing it. It was just drifting unevenly, like someone had shoved it with a weak arm. Now I'm thinking, okay, Kevin is messing with me. So I radio him and say, "You down here?" He answers right away. Says he's still upstairs, grabbing a sandwich in the cafeteria. Swears he hasn't been back down yet. I still don't believe him. He's a sarcastic dude and loves to pull jokes. I figure he's just screwing with me and trying to catch my reaction. So I go walking around, trying to catch him in the act. I walk past the laundry room and hear a sudden thump. The washing machines kick on all at once, like someone just started a full cycle. Now, I know for a fact that no one's scheduled to be doing laundry this late. I walk in, expecting to find Kevin hiding behind something, but the room is empty. All the machines are running, spinning loudly. Again, no footsteps, no shadows, just the sound of the washers going off. I call out, "All right, you got me." No response. And then the machines stop, all of them, mid-cycle. Everything goes completely quiet again. And this is the point where I actually start to feel it. The hair on my arms stand up, and this cold, sharp sensation hits my chest. Like something was really wrong here. And I slowly back out of the laundry room and head back down the hallway toward the elevator. Then I hear the whistling again. The same 3 or 4 notes, slowly, like someone was trying to copy me. That's when it hit me. I whistle a lot when I'm working. Always have. Just a little habit to pass the time. I had not whistled that night, but maybe something else had. I stopped dead in my tracks and just stand there. And right then, one by one, things start falling off the storage shelves at the end of the hallway. A box of gloves, a package of tubing, a stack of gauze. One at a time, spaced out like someone was walking down the row and knocking them off deliberately. There was no wind. The floor wasn't shaking. Nothing logical could be doing this. And at this point, I'm done. I turn back to the elevator and hit the button. As I'm standing there, waiting, I feel it. Something brushes the side of my arm. Not like wind or a chill, but like someone's sleeve just grazed me as they walked past. But again, there was no one down there with me. The elevator finally opens. I get in and ride straight up to the cafeteria. Kevin's sitting there with his sandwich, looking at me like I've just seen a ghost. I probably look pale. I told him everything, and he just stared at me. Did not even make a joke about it. I asked around the next day, and no one admitted to being downstairs or messing with anything. I never found out what caused the machines to start, or how the bed got loose, but I never worked another night shift after that. I asked for a transfer and got moved a few weeks later. I still can't explain any of it, but to this day, anytime I hear that whistling sound, my stomach knots up. I know what I felt, and I know I was not alone down there that night. I worked as an EMT for about 2 years before I burned out. Most of my shifts were medical transfers. Nothing exciting, just moving patients from hospitals to nursing homes, or taking regulars to their dialysis appointments and back. Not glamorous, but it did pay the bills, and I liked the patients more often than not. And there was one patient that I had frequently, an older woman, mid-70s, pretty frail but still sharp. She had kidney failure and went in for dialysis 3 times a week. I had been transporting her for maybe 6 months. We'd chat sometimes, but she mostly liked to be quiet, always polite. One of those people who made you feel calm just being around them. One day, I noticed she looked more tired than usual. I was in the back with her during the ride and asked her if everything was okay. At first, she did not say much to me. And then she told me something that made the hairs on my neck stand up. She said, "A man in purple has been visiting me." I asked if he was family or a nurse she liked. She shook her head. She said no one seemed to know him. She also said he would sit next to her during the dialysis and stroke her hair. I remember her saying it like it was totally normal, like she was used to it. I asked if she told the staff, and she said she had, but no one else ever saw him. Later that day, I brought this up to the techs at the center. They all looked confused. Visitors weren't really allowed in the treatment area, and none of them remembered seeing anyone in purple scrubs. Most of them wore blue or dark green scrubs. Some wore black, but purple, never. They assumed she was imagining things. I started to think maybe it was just a side effect of the treatment or some medication. Delirium isn't uncommon with older patients, especially those on dialysis. So I let it go. A few weeks later, we were dispatched to pick her up again. Everything was normal until we pulled into the parking lot of the dialysis center. I was in the passenger seat this time, and just casually scanning the building through the ambulance window. That's when I saw him. In one of the big second-floor windows, clear as day, there was a man in purple scrubs, standing and looking down at us. Not moving, but just watching. And I can't explain it, but the moment I saw him, I got this wave of cold panic. It wasn't just that he was there. It was something about how instantly I knew who it was, without question. I turned to my partner and said, "Did you see that?" He asked me what I meant, but by the time I pointed back, we were already pulling around to the other side of the building to get to the pickup door. As soon as we walked in, everything went to hell. Techs were running around, people shouting for a crash cart. I immediately knew who it was before they said her name. She'd gone into cardiac arrest in the chair not even 5 minutes before we arrived. We jumped in to assist, got her loaded, and rushed her to the hospital. I did compressions all the way there. I kept thinking she had just talked to me days ago. She had been tired, yeah, but not like this. She did not make it. Later that day, after the call was over and we were back at the station, I brought up the man in purple again. I wasn't trying to be weird about it. I just needed to know. I asked a couple of the dialysis techs if anyone had started wearing purple scrubs. One of them even walked me around to the back room to show me the uniform rack. Same as always. Green, blue, black. No purple. Not even close. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not saying it was a ghost or an omen or whatever, because I don't even believe in that stuff. But I do know what I saw, and I know she had seen him too, for weeks, maybe months before it happened. She never seemed scared of him, just tired. It still bothers me. I can't forget how calm she was about it, or how certain she seemed. It's like she already knew, like she'd been waiting. I've seen a lot of things working EMS. People die. Sometimes you're there in time, sometimes you're not. You get used to the idea that most of it's just random, bad luck, bad timing. But that one ride, that one patient, I don't know. Something about it felt different. I try not to think about it too much, but every now and then, I'll be driving past that center, and I'll catch myself looking up at that window again, half expecting to see him there. I never have since.